Number formatting in its most basic level is just taking a cell with a bunch of numbers in it and formatting it, like let's say commission here, into a percent. So go ahead and click on the cell, come up to the numbers group on the home tab, and then just click on the percent symbol and it converts it. And then as you can tell by looking up here in the drop down arrow that the number format is percentage. Let's see, we want to change these numbers here into currency. So I can come up here to the numbers group again. I can click on the $sign, but that tells me it's accounting. That's not currency. What's the difference? Well, at least visually, when I click and drag and stretch these columns open, the $sign's aligned to the left-hand side here, and so I'm going to go ahead and hit undo a couple of times to get rid of it. And I can click General and go down to, instead of accounting, to actual currency. And you can see there's accounting. I'm going to go ahead and select currency. So when I click and drag and stretch it open, the $sign stays next to the number, and that's fine with me. I'll hit undo. So how about the date here? I can click in this cell and click on the drop down arrow, and let's see, we've got, long date, short date. Long date's got it all spelled out there, Thursday. And because there's so much information in that cell, it can't all fit. It just gives me pound signs to let me know that I need to stretch column A over just a bit, so I'll click and drag. Well, that's a long date. So maybe the long date doesn't work for me, so I can click on the drop down arrow here and maybe do time. 12 a.m. Well, I'll need to change the time, but if you notice up in the formula bar, it's not only got the date but the actual time as well. So I may want to change that. The reason why it gave me 12 a.m. is because I didn't define the time previously, so I can go ahead and do it now. But you know what? I'd rather click on the drop down arrow and go to short date, and then go ahead and click and drag and bring this back just a little bit so it looks better. Now, another way you can do this, for example, I'm going to go back to my currency here, and I want to change it or format it just a little bit differently. I want more options than just what we have selected here in the drop-down. So I can come down here and click on More Number Formats, and it pulls up my format cells here, which you can also get, let me click Cancel, by simply right-clicking and coming down to Format Cells. Just be sure to click on the Numbers tab. Once you come up in here, you can see it's already selected currency. But as far as negative numbers go, anytime I have a negative number, let me click down here, you can see it's going to be a little minus sign in front of it. Or I can use red, which tells me that I'm in the red, that's negative. So I can customize just a little bit more by coming down to more options or just right-clicking and coming to Format Cells and then click OK. So if I do come in here and I double-click in a cell so I can add my minus in front of it and hit Enter, turns it red, doesn't it? It might work better for you if you actually had the minus sign instead of just red. Or again, you can go ahead and select it, right-click it, and go back to Format Cells, and then do something that's in parentheses for accounting, which means if it's in parentheses and it's in red, in accounting parentheses means it's a negative number. I'm going to go back to the negative number and click OK. Taking it one step further, we've got our Social Security number over here. What if I wanted to go ahead and customize this and say I want the SS before it for Social Security number, and I want dashes where they should be, the first 4 numbers, then a dash, then 2, and a dash, then the remainder 3. First of all, I want to go ahead and select the range that I want to customize, and then I can go ahead and I can either right-click that range, or like I said, I can come up and click on the arrow in the numbers group, or click off in a blank area and click on its expandable dialog box button. I mean, it all brings us back here. So hopefully you'll get more comfortable and familiar as I show you all these different ways that actually lead to the same results or the same screen here. I want to come down in here, select Custom, and then what I want to do is I want to come up here and click in this field here, and here I can go ahead and type in or do a little programming. So no worries, I'll walk you through it. I want to delete General, hit the backspace key on the keyboard, and what I want to do is I want to type in open quotes, SS, close quotes, space. And you can see up here in the sample, remember, as we go along, anytime you type in a formula or a function that has quotes around it, it means it's not part of the function or formula. Excel looks at it as just something to display as text, or whatever you type in between the quotes, which happens to be text right now. Then I want to go ahead and add my number formats, 1, 2, 3, and you can see it adds the number immediately up at the top, but I'm not done yet. I'll add a dash, and then I'll go, 1, 2? See how it's starting to move along here? And then I'm going to add another dash and then finish it off 1, 2, 3, and there we go. Looks pretty good, doesn't it, in the sample? So before you click OK, make sure it's even showing in the sample, and then when you're finished, click OK. Now that's all that means. For example, down below, you can see where it has zeros here. It says go ahead and use any number you want, but the last number has to be 0 and everything has to be rounded up or down after that number, or in this case, before that number. And you can see some other custom numbers for formatting, like in red here. That will color this in red, and we'll cover a little bit more detail later on. But for right now, just know that we can go ahead and create our own custom. Once I click OK, there it is, SS, and it's got my numbers in there, and they're all spaced by little dashes. Now if I go ahead and click Undo, and I just do it to the first one, like I go ahead and I right-click, I go down to Format Cells, and I select Custom, if I scroll all the way to the bottom, it's still there. Because I'm still working in the current workbook here, at least it's available, and I can go ahead and select it again and click OK. Then if I want to update the remainder cells, I can go ahead and copy and paste that format by clicking and dragging down, and then click on the little tag here. I don't want to copy the cells, I just want to fill the formatting only. So that way the Social Security numbers don't change, so everybody has the same one, but it just updates the formatting of the cells to include the dashes and the SS for Social Security number. And then when I'm finished, maybe I want to clean up my cells here as far as alignment goes, which we covered a little bit in previous training videos, but I can click and drag and say, look, instead of being aligned to the right, let's go ahead and have you align in the middle. So I come up to my alignment group on the Home tab and click Align Middle. And then finally, as a short review, if you need to find and replace formats, and we covered this in the finding and replacing training video, but if I want to go ahead and let's say I want to replace these formats from SS, from Social Security number maybe to Employee ID or just EID, what I can do is I can go ahead, instead of going throughout the whole worksheet and changing all these and going down from one cell to the next, changing SS and updating it to EID. Instead, I can come up here on the Home tab and go over to the Editing group and click on the Find button and go down to Replace, or the shortcut key is Control-H. But once I bring it up, what do I want to find? Well, I want to find the format. I don't want to change the numbers or the text, but just the formatting of the cell. Remember, even though it shows SS, that's really just part of the formatting. It's not the actual text of the cell. So what I want to find, I don't want to type, I want the format. To get the format, I want to click on More Options here, the Options button to get more options. Then I can do it one of two ways. I can click the drop down arrow and click on Format and go ahead and punch in the formatting that I want, which was Custom. Scroll all the way down to the bottom and select it. I'm going to click Cancel. Easier than that is to click on the drop down arrow and choose the formatting from a cell. Once you choose it, you get a little eyedropper next to your white cross. Go ahead and click on the cell that has the formatting, and automatically it dumps it in here. And I can see that because it says the formatting here. It gives me the little preview here with the asterisks instead of no format set. So that's the formatting I want to find throughout my whole worksheet here. Or I can click on the drop down arrow and do it through the whole workbook. Includes sheet 2 and 3, but I'm going to leave it as sheet here. And I want to change the format, so I'll click on the drop down arrow and I'll go to Format. This is where I want to change it. Come down to Custom, scroll all the way down to the bottom, select it, come up here, click and drag and select SS and just choose IED, and then click OK. And then go ahead and click Find. I mean, if it's already there, you might as well just go ahead and click Replace, and you see there it goes. Find Next, or just Replace All. So it says that it's completed the remaining 3 replacements because that's all that was left after I replaced the first one. Click OK and close out, and we made our changes. But keep in mind that if you want to do more additional finds or searches while you have your workbook open and you haven't closed out, remember that the Find feature remembers your most recent find. For example, if I come in here and I do Control F and I say, well, I want to find, let me look at this number here, 110.25. If I type in 110.25 and I click Find Next, it's not going to find it. Because what it's looking for is not only the number but also the format. We have to clear the format by clicking on the drop down arrow and choosing Clear Format. Then I can go ahead and find it and it pops up. Of course, when I close and I come back and I click Find again, it's going to remember my most recent search, which was for 110. So again, you want to always clear your most recent search, or more especially, keep an eye on these formats to make sure that no format is set. And then if it is, be sure to clear it. Hey, thanks for watching. If you like my video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you subscribe to my YouTube channel, as soon as I upload a new video, you'll be notified instantly, and you can do that by coming over here and clicking on my face. You can also click here to support me, so for $2 a month, you can have access to over 2,700 training videos, all ad-free, and for a few bucks more, you can have access to my exercises, instructor notes, quizzes, certificate of completion, and a whole lot more.